sunlight feels nice on my eyelids. I'll try to forgive me in time. I'll hold my hand when the devil comes knocking on my door. Won't let her inside. All I am is a woman who's learning to love. All I am and all I ever was. Easier said than done. Safe in my queen-sized bed, my emotions ring tears who respond when they call. Time with myself is so rare an occurrence. I fear I don't know her at all. Learning to love. All I am and all I ever was. Easier said than done. Easier said, easier said than done. I wrote that song in April, and at the time I wasn't quite sure what I was trying to express, but now its meaning has become far more clear. It was me realizing that we all have patterns that foster negative relationships with ourselves. We all have the tendency to strive to be something unnatural to us for various reasons. We aspire to fit into this socially accepted box of perfection that I think quite a few other speakers have referred to today. But I think it's imperative to our happiness to combat this pattern, find pride in celebrating our imperfections, and live our truths. As a child, I was the Hermione Granger of my class, simultaneously detested for being good at everything and a show-off, but also met with the words, "Oh, Dee can do it," whenever anything needed to be done. This wasn't exactly the identity I was after, and it didn't feel like it was mine, but I did little to prevent it. I realize now this instilled a pattern of shame to be good at things, something I often see today. We are so hesitant to compliment and acknowledge our own skills and achievements because we fear appearing conceited. We place the perception others have of us over our own sense of self-worth. But it is so important to do the opposite, to balance our eager self-criticism. I have a simple task for you, and I hope you're taking notes. Every morning when you wake up, look yourself squarely in the mirror and give yourself a compliment. I dare you. It might feel weird or stupid, but bucket loads of evidence suggests that positive self-talk does work wonders. In my early teens, being perfect became the driving force behind everything I did. And by the end of year 10, I was the nice girl. Lovely, absolutely no doubt about it, but also one-dimensional, and I'm not embarrassed to say, a little boring. But do not fret, I have more than made up for this in tons of cheeky sarcasm and merciless wit. But back then, I felt unable to express any kind of controversial sentiments or negative emotions, as it would be a crack in my put-together and perfect facade. This predictably became very unhealthy. My desire to be independent and untouchable led to feeling isolated and unhappy. Safe in my queen-sized bed, my emotions ring tears who respond when they call. I think we've all been there, feeling that the only way to be strong is to depend solely on yourself, when the truly brave thing to do is to share your emotions. Easier said than done. One could say that until a few years later, I had no relationship with myself, only with the world around me. Exterior people and goals determined my direction, and I lived outwardly, self-reflection and inward thinking absolutely terrifying. Time with myself is so rare an occurrence, I fear I don't know her at all. Can you all relate to thinking that ignoring how you feel is easier than actually confronting it? At the start of last year, however, I let my hair down, the hair that I had back then. I learned that having faults and being imperfect was actually far more interesting. I learned that it was a-okay to be more than nice. You can be sassy and still be kind, Dee. They are not mutually exclusive concepts, sweetie. I'm definitely still working on it, but I began learning not to be so desperate for absolutely everyone to like me. I realized that if I expressed myself truly, I would attract the right people, the right opportunities, and actually be a more attractive human being overall. Here's another challenge. Next time you feel yourself pushing down your emotions, pull them out into the light, inspect them and interrogate them. You'll soon discover they are far less scary than they seem. Today, I'm still working on overcoming my anxiety of slipping up, of what others think of me, of letting people down, including myself, and I am by no means perfect, which I say with a smile. Think about this. All the people you admire, for me it's my family, friends, great female and queer musicians and comedians, they all have many faults, but that doesn't mean you love them any less. And that applies to us too. You are not an exception to the rule. You're not that special, mate. Golly gee. And anyway, those who truly love you won't judge you or disown you for making a few mistakes. Measure yourself by your own scale of brilliance, not by those of Uncle Pete or Grandma Sandra or best friend Gail, 3 people that I wish I knew and had in my life. The thing I value most in life is forgiveness. My mother always says, forgiveness is freedom. And for a while back there, I didn't know what she was banging on about. But now I see that she couldn't be more right. I'd always thought she'd only meant forgiving other people, which is also terribly important. But what's truly important is learning to forgive yourself. I would say that many of us lead very guilty lives. We choose to focus on what we should have done or said better. For example, maybe I shouldn't have dressed like a gay painter from the 70s. But hey, here we are. And now people are listening. We choose to see the black dot on the blank whiteboard. Sorry. I'm proud of that one. We choose to see the blank dot on the blank whiteboard, the one piece of the puzzle that doesn't fit, even though the other 999 might. As my favorite musician, Fiona Apple, once said, I don't believe anything I do is a mistake. It couldn't be if I didn't learn from it. Imagine how much time we could save if we forgive ourselves more readily, accept our mistakes, and choose to learn from them. Perhaps if I'd practiced this earlier, I wouldn't have been so guilty, so scared of looking inwardly, and I wouldn't have spent so much time distracting myself from who I was and how I felt. Oh, how the sunlight feels nice on my eyelids. I'll try to forgive me in time. We must treat ourselves as we would want to be treated by others. Try talking to your inner child. Would you really say things such as, you're worthless, or I will never forgive you, to a 5-year-old? I bloody well hope not, and actually, if you would, then can you please just remove yourself from the vicinity? Thank you. Music has been crucial in building a relationship with myself. When I play music, I feel I am in my rawest form, with all my splendid faults and vulnerable emotions on display. It's been a helping hand in overcoming the expectation to be perfect, and a safe place to document my imperfections, an outlet for the feelings I wanted to keep hidden. I've managed to find some success with music, this year playing at several festivals, charity events, cafes, and I still can't quite believe it, but being the opening act for Avalanche City. I thought, golly, people must actually like me for who I am. This is crazy, crazy town. What all this helped me to realize, though, is that people wanted to listen to my music because I was myself on stage. There were no illusions or dishonesty. I've often been approached by listeners after a gig, some of them in tears, and they express their gratitude for my unfiltered truth, though it may not always be so pretty. They tell me I put into music what they couldn't put into words, and I've never felt anything so powerful. I started thinking, imagine what the reaction would be if I began exercising this offstage too. I think we have a perception of our minds as uncontrollable entities, which means we sit idly by and just let our thoughts run away with us. But to some degree, we can choose what to think, stop judgmental thoughts in their tracks, and choose to focus on sentiments that make us feel good. Why not? Becoming aware of all these patterns I've mentioned is quite incredible. It means I can detach from the negative feelings, understand where they're coming from, and direct my attention to brighter thoughts, though I'll admit it's really difficult and I'm often unsuccessful. You know, it is so much easier to sit and grump than to think about how beautiful the flowers outside are. Another piece of wisdom my mother gifted to me, this is basically her talk, was that if your thoughts are making you feel unhappy, they aren't aligning with your inner truth. And that's what my talk boils down to. We need to live our truths. We need to think about things that make us feel good. Stop pretending for others. Be loyal to our own desires and make mistakes without regret to discover our true selves. We need 2 truths and no lies. To cast off my talk today, I want to say that in order to learn to fly, we need to allow ourselves to express our faults and accept them. Know that we can't please everyone no matter how hard we try, and that our minds are tools and we are the ones using them. Learn to be your own best friend. Stand up for yourself when your own nasty thoughts try to drag you down. I'll hold my hand when the devil comes knocking on my door, won't let her inside. You're stuck with you for life. I hate to break it to you, so you may as well get on. Learning to fly isn't easy. We need to figure out how this strange little plane works and then pluck up the courage to give it a go. There will be some bird strikes, Earth proximity warnings, and maybe even a few crash landings while learning. You can tell my aviation knowledge is really incredible. And even after you think you've mastered the craft, things will still go wrong. But if you can get yourself back off the ground, listen to the system, and keep flying, you're definitely doing something right. Thank you.